Hello, future designers and developers, and welcome to part 2 of designing our biography page. In the last one, we just did our basic HTML, so we got something that looks like this, and hopefully my internet stays around this time. We are trying to get to something like this, so in this video we're going to tackle some of the CSS behind this. You can see that the CSS is pretty basic on this. I didn't do any hovering effects or any kind of focus state indicators for the navigation bars. I already have video tutorials on that, so you can check those out, or you can ask me in class. So yeah, let's get started formatting some of this stuff. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to go into my CSS page, and I'm going to call out my body selector. And I am going to give everything inside of the body tags. Padding is equal to 0 and margin is equal to 0. If I want to change that, I will specify that. That's important just because it'll get everything sized up where we want it to be. You see these are all connected. Cool. So let's start with our H1 tag. So H1, over here we are going to center that text. Or actually, you know what we are going to do? We're going to throw all this inside of an HTML tag. We're going to call this our header. So going into my index, I am going to start right underneath the body, and I'm going to open up a header tag. And the header is going to start with our H1, and then it will stop after our unordered list. So now my CSS just got a little bit easier. Instead of doing an H1 tag, I'm going to say my header. We're going to say text align is center. There we go. We've got that all centered up. And now I'm also going to change my background color. So I'm going to call it background, and I am just going to use different levels of gray for this, just because they're quick and easy to use. So AAA, there we go. Cool. All right. Then what we are going to do inside our next thing that we're going to do, we're going to divide this up. Remember, we're going to do some float layout design for this. So I am actually going to need a couple things here. I'm going to need a section box around this. So I'm going to call that my section. And then I am going to have a div that contains both my about and my description, and another div that contains my image. So let's go into the index, and inside of this, I'm going to start by calling out a section tag. So our section is going to encompass everything besides the footer. I'll cut that out. And then we are going to have some simpler, smaller ones that go around here. So I'm going to make a div with a class that we are going to call appropriately our left. Then I'm going to take the bottom of that and I'm going to put it after our description. I'm going to hit a format file real quick just to make it a little bit cleaner. And now I know that the image is the only thing inside of this div, but I want to, for the sake of trying other things, I'm going to say that this div has a class of right. And that div is just going to go around our image, format that file again. Cool. So now nothing has changed inside of our HTML, but now we are able to format all of that at the same time. So I'm going to go into my CSS, and the next thing that I have over here is going to be my section. So inside of the section, we are going to change our background. So background, and this time we are going to call out BBB. There you go. You can see that I have two different shades of gray over here, and then we just have our footer for our last background color. So we'll call out the footer, and then we're going to go background is equal to CCC. Cool. You know, to make the difference a little bit better, I'm going to change this one to CCC and this one to BBB. And then that will give us, yeah, that's a little bit lighter in the middle. It differentiates our header from this a little bit better. So I like that a lot. That's gonna be good. Cool. All right, now we have some gaps in between there, and that's gonna be fixed once we get into some of this padding and margins on some of these. So we can do that right now. Yeah, let's go into the header, and we're gonna change all the padding over here to be 20 pixels. And that should really, yeah, clears that up pretty well. Since we're still here in the header, let's go over our navigation. So if you recall, we are going to take this ordered list and list items, and we're going to do a lot of changes to them in kind of rapid succession. I'm going to put it right underneath my header tag because my order list is inside of the header. So I'm going to call out my UL, and I'm going to make some changes to the UL, and then I'm also going to call out my list items, and I'm going to make some changes to that. So the first thing that I want to do is change my list style to none. That is going to get rid of those bullet points. So when I refresh that, those are gone. And now my list items over here, we want to change how we display them. So we're going to display them inline. Inline. And this should bring them all onto the same line. There we go, cool. Now there is a little bit of a weird, they're not exactly center. So inside of my order list, I'm going to make my padding 0. And now they are centered up. That's just a little padding that's left over. It's that default for in between the item and the bullet point. So we're gonna get rid of that. Cool. So now we want to throw some padding in between these. So I'm gonna say padding right is gonna be, we'll do 15 pixels. And then my padding left will also be 15 pixels. I'll keep it nice and even. Cool. Those are now all spaced out. Perfect. All right. So now that we are on to our section, let's add some padding around this. So we're going to do padding of 20 pixels. And there we go. You can see that kind of fills in all the gaps. It's looking good. Now what we want to do is we want to take our text and keep it on the left side and this on the right side. So how we do that is that we add some floats into those divs that we had created. The first div that we had created underneath their section is div.left. And then the next one that we have is our div.right. Now both of these, we want their widths to be 50%. So I'm going to say that this one is 50%. Oh, shoot. It says I'm reconnecting. Oh, connected. Nice. That's good. Cool. So I'm going to copy that up, paste it again. And now this one, it's left, so we're going to have it float left. And this one is right, so we're going to float right. And we're going to get some wonky stuff right here, but that's going to be okay. Oh, didn't get anything to get wonky yet. So cool. That is because we need to change some things about our section first. So how we're going to do that, we are going to make sure that we have our, we are going to add in that section with the subclass after. Cool. And my connection, once again, is down. Wonderful. But remember that we are going to say that our content inside of this case, this is going to be a content of nothing. And we are going to change our display into table. And then we are going to clear both. Cool. We still don't have anything that has changed just yet, but that's okay. Because what we need to do now is we need to make sure that all of our floats are working, because that should be where we're at. Div dot left, div dot right. Oh, that's why I'm missing a semicolon right there, and that's not a semicolon. And of course it's going to take a second to load. But that was it. That's our little syntax error for today. Just missing a little bit of that. So like I said, we get a little wonkiness with this. It's not exactly where we want it to be yet. These are not in the proper spot. Obviously contact info is a little wonky over there. So we have a couple little things that we need to change to get this to the point where we want that. So first, we're going to change something about our image, because our image should take up 100% of that div. So our image is in that right div. So I'm going to throw this right after there. I'm going to say my width is equal to 100%. Cool. So now that's kind of where we want it to be. And then this is my other syntax. I did not clear both after that. And there we go. You can now see that I have my writing over here and my image over here. Now, my section has that same padding because I added in that padding of 20 pixels. So we see that 20 pixels around the sides over here too. So what we want to do now is edit our footer, and then we're just about done with our basic CSS for this page. So we are going to say that inside of our footer, we're going to have our text align center. And then we are going to throw in some padding on this. We'll make that 30 pixels. And there we go. You know, it's a little bit short, so I'm going to bump up that padding just a bit. And it may depend on what screen you're viewing this on. We haven't done that responsive design yet. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more padding to the header, make that 25. Cool. So now that's all good. We have got all of our CSS basics down for this home page. Fantastic. We've got our title, we've got our links. They are not working yet, but this looks pretty good. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'll talk to you later.